Syria. Oh boy. Assad, what have you done? Today I'm going to bring you guys a new guest. Many Chinese audience have requested this one for a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, I gave you Brother 7. There's a reason why I didn't present his videos because it is very military leaning, and by my judgment, even with hundreds of thousands of casualty in the Ukraine war on both sides, there's really no major groundbreaking event. For my long-term audience, I always emphasize that the financial monetary war that occurs in the background between US and China, that is a more impactful ongoing issue until now, because the fall of Syria is a groundbreaking event. All right, let me introduce Brother 7 very quickly here. His self-given title, top-level civilian military strategist. Okay, he has thousands of video posts online, very popular in China. His worldview is actually very similar to mine. Let me give you guys a quick summary here. He sees that today's world can be defined as two superpowers, Russia and China, challenging the unipolar world power run by the United States. He sees the US as completely subordinate to the transnational financial oligarchy class, which runs a global financial empire, tries to turn all the countries in the world into financial vassals. Yeah, pretty much I agree with that as well. He and his fans have repeatedly claimed that he never missed a prediction. I don't know. I don't really watch his video that much. I cannot verify, but from the videos I watch, yeah, he's a sharp knife, let's put it that way. He and many Chinese who are realists, okay, consider military as the determinant factor of how high a country can reach. Makes sense as well. Countries like Japan and Germany will never surpass US because they are occupied by the US, okay? His podcast is always live with tens of thousands of audience, and each of his videos have millions of views after. His military theory, okay, this big triangle and small triangle theory, he keep emphasizing how important it is on his channel. The big triangle refer to East Asia, Europe, and Middle East, which is the most important three regions that will define the future of humankind, basically, in this turbulence era. The three small triangle refer to first, I think I'm right, okay? Correct me if I'm wrong. The first corner of the triangle is Ukraine and Belarus. Second one is Korean Peninsula. And the third one is Syria. He believes those are the three most important strategic areas within the big triangle in which will define the outcome, who will win and who will lose. He has emphasized repeatedly how important Syria is over the past few days. He has reassured his fans that Syria will not fall to the rebels. He even went as far as to say he will give up broadcast geopolitics if Syria fall to these useless rebels so quickly. I guess you guys see what's coming in this video. So when Syria officially fell on December 7, December 8th, depends on where you are on this planet, over 200,000 audience flood into his broadcast. I think it was approaching 300,000. Okay, I'm talking about live. And they were all there waiting to see what Brother 7 has to say about it. Let me say something in Mandarin first, okay? 七哥在这里帮你做做宣传，你的频道做得不错。那在这里我翻译的有什么地方不正确的话，请告诉我啊，不要介意。So, here we go. Have to clean my throat for this one. This one is going to be spicy.
Mein Führer, Steiner Steiner konnte nicht genügend Kräfte für einen Angriff massieren. Der Angriff Steiner ist nicht erfolgt.
You see this globe next to me. I've spent the entire year or so pointing and drawing lines on it. And Syria is the country that I emphasize the most. I talked about Syria so much that the pings on the globe is falling apart. I've said it many times over the month that Syria is the only place US, NATO-led Western partners can break through against the China, Russia-led anti-unipolar rebellion. I've been doing daily podcasts since the beginning of the Ukraine war. And this is the first major misprediction I made. I failed to predict the fall of Syria. That Syrian army basically gave up without a fight. I've said it over the months and years. The United States and its allies were not able to achieve any major strategic breakthrough around the planet against Russia-China alliance. But the collapse of Syria, the collapse of Assad Regime, is the first major accomplishment for the United States. You have to give credit where credit is due. Americans might be bad at fighting a head-on war in this era, but it is a master of unconventional warfare and regime change. Syria is the most important strategic area in the entire Asia for both Russia, China, and Iran. The key to destroy the US unipolar hegemony. Preserving Syria means preserving Iran. Preserving Iran means preserving Middle East. Preserving Middle East means the countdown clock to the collapse of US unipolar world order will continue to tick. However, if Syria falls, Iran will be in grave risk. If Iran falls, Russia-China alliance will lose the Middle East. From Syria, US can organize proxy to march towards the Caucasus region, destabilize Central Asia, and setting fire to Russia and China's backyard. The fall of Syria signaled the major shift in the fight against US hegemony. All my Chinese audience who supported Chinese anti-unipolar position, I'm sorry to tell you, this is a major victory for the United States, a major loss for China. All of the efforts Russia and Iran put in the Middle East over the years and decades have been reset to zero. Russia's power projection into the Middle East has been reset to zero. For the US empire, this is killing three birds with one stone. First, the loss of Syria means the Saudi Arabia and those small oil states will likely end their rebellion against US and re-anchor oil to the US dollar, pledging their loyalty back to the United States. This is a huge boost to the position of the US and the US dollar. Second, Israel will be relieved, and the conflict of Hamas and Hezbollah will likely come to a conclusion. Third, Iran will be in big trouble now, because Syria opened a pathway to the US and its allies to march towards Iran and topple its government. Iran will be now isolated and in big trouble. Without Syria, the entire resistance fighters in the Middle East linking from Iran to Lebanon will be cut off, and it will be close to impossible to resupply them effectively. If Iran is not willing to stand up and restabilize the region, China's diplomatic effort to rebuild a relationship between the Sunni and Shia will be ruined. This is also a major setback to the Belt and Road Initiative because Syria is of a vital strategic importance to China's influence into the Mediterranean. 13 long years of resistance in Syria. United States and its allies tried all kinds of warfare in Syria, and Syria stood firmly But today, it failed in such a shocking fashion. I've said it over the years, the US made a major strategic mistake when it comes to the Ukraine war. It failed to anticipate China. It thought China would support US strategy against Russia, just like China supported so many US-led global strategy around the world over the decades, like a good, obedient vassal. But this time, China rebelled. US did not expect that. The United States succeeded in cutting off ties between Europe and Russia, blowing up pipelines, seeding deep division. But in terms of grand strategy, it is a major loss to the US because with China's help, Russia withstood the sanction and were able to drag US NATO into a prolonged war, something they were not expected. In Asia, US cannot find a reliable proxy to fight against China. South Korea, Taiwan, and the Philippines, these are countries and regions in which internal politics are in serious trouble. So the only angle of approach for US is in the Middle East. I've been laughing at the United States of how stupid and useless they have become since Ukraine war. But now, I must say, I need to praise the US for its accomplishment in the Middle East. In Syria, US completely turned the table around to their advantage. With the fall of Syria, President Trump will gain a huge bargaining chip against Russia in Ukraine. Nevertheless, this is not the end of the conflict, but the beginning. A new era of chaos has arrived in the Middle East. And then Brother 7 started to get very emotional, so viewer discretion coming up. I've been sitting here for an entire day, waiting for an Iranian response to this new development. Iran didn't give a single word. Are they going to launch a major operation to rescue the situation, or are they going to cower down? Let me send Iran a message now. You are out of space to maneuver. You have nowhere to run. You have to choose now to fight or to kneel. Because the US and its allies are coming after you next. If you want to be a major player in the Middle East when humankind enters a new era of multipolar world, this is the moment for you. If you think you are the one, now is the time to prove yourself. This is my problem with the Middle East. All freaking pussies with no spine. Are you one of those cowards too, Iran? If you are willing to stood up and fight the Israel and US-led coalition, drag the Americans into a bigger war, you will have the entire Chinese industrial might backing you. But if you can't find your backbone, all our efforts would have gone to waste.
Das war ein Befehl! Der Angriff Steiners war ein Befehl!
Yes, I know. Assad is also at fault here. But you can't really blame everything on him. If his elder brother didn't die in a car accident, all this pressure would not have been on him to begin with. Assad is not made for this, I know. And he chose to abandon his countrymen at the most critical moment. But he has been stood by faithfully for 13 long years. He's gone now. And you, Iran, have to accept and face the reality. Of course, it is too early for me, as an outsider, to figure out exactly what happened behind the scene. Who did Assad make deal with and to what end? But that reality will not be hidden for long, because very soon, in the coming days and weeks, we will know exactly what that deal is and who was the major player behind all this. Again, it's all up to Iran now. If Iran is not willing to step up now and fight, Middle East is lost. And the many of the Arab oil producing states will kneel down back to the US. And US will retake control of the oil price and destroy Russia's economy with it. And this can be also used by US as a bargaining chip against Russia to pause the war in Ukraine. Syria can be used as a leverage. I've said it for many months. The US cannot win a war against Iran because there's no point of entries. When US left Afghanistan, it's close to impossible for US to get into a direct war with Iran because there's no contact line. Now, everything changed. If Syria falls to the US, Iran is in big trouble. US can lock down Iran through land and sea. Let me summarize all this. In the short run, Iran is in big trouble because Israel and US are coming after it. In the midterm, this will also change the battlefield in Ukraine because Central Asia will be in trouble and Russia's economy will come under heavy pressure, forcing Putin to make tough decisions. In the long run, China's Belt and Road Initiative and its entire strategy planning towards Middle East and Europe will also be cut short, ultimately affecting the China-US competition. Let me be frank here. I think the US is taking a step-to-step approach to force China to rethink its anti-unipolar world strategy. This is a very significant development. I think China needs to make a move now as well. If Iran went down, China's influence in the Middle East will reset to zero. Ultimately, if China cannot demonstrate its overall capability, if China do not demonstrate to the Arab states its commitment and determination, they will surely kneel back down to the United States. And if OPEC gave up the rebellion against the US, Russia might need to fold as well. And it will also impact the Central Asia states' loyalty as well in the long run. You know how many times Jake Sullivan and Blinken went down to the Middle East? What did they achieve? Nothing. They got nothing. Why? Because Russia and China stood together firmly as an alternative option. Now, if they see China, Russia, and Iran gave up on Syria so easily, why would any of them choose to follow the new alliance? They would just fall back into the old bloc. Russia has tried its best. I don't blame Putin. Iran needs to take up responsibility now. Europe is Russia's responsibility. East Asia is China's responsibility. Middle East is Iran's responsibility. It's too late to turn back now, Iran. Before I summarize this video and give you guys my take on the current situation, I want to quickly switch focus to a recent podcast between Professor John Mearsheimer and Professor Aleksandr Dugin. It was a 3.5 hour long program, which I was invited to join. If you guys want to check it out, I'm putting the link down in the description. I might do a separate video on that podcast next week, perhaps. And by the time this video goes public, I will be on a flight to China, going to spend a few weeks with my parents. My mother just went through breast cancer treatment, surgery, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and she started to grow new hair. So that's good news, and I'm going to spend some time with her. Okay, oh boy, Syria. Let me bring out the map for this one. Okay, I'm going to go full realist for this explanation. There are only 3 major superpowers on this planet now: Russia, US, and China. France and UK are really in big trouble now domestically, and they have been declining for a while now. And outside of that, 3 superpowers who are projecting power into this region. What else do you guys see? Besides the 3 superpowers, that is. There are only 3 meaningful countries here, okay? Turkey, Israel, and Iran. All the other countries are either too small, too weak to matter without the backing of the 6 greater power here. And I think out of these 6 powers, China is the only one without direct military involvement. not in any major way, that is. All the other countries are either too small, in the state of bankruptcy, or just do not have it in them to fight. So they will just lean towards whoever wins this conflict. That's more or less their attitude, I think. And I don't have any problems against that. And if I'm wrong, if you guys think I'm wrong, please correct me. After this event in Syria, I think the first thing Chinese leadership should recognize is that Turkey under Erdogan is unreliable, especially when it comes to greater geopolitical strategy partnership. You know what is a good reference for Turkey and Erdogan? Okay, a quick Chinese history here. Before 1949, in which Chinese Communist Party took over the country was on paper run by Chiang Kai-shek and the KMT party. In reality, though, the country was very divided. And there were the Japanese that occupied the north. There are many local warlords who run their own province and region and not following the leadership of the official government. Turkey, Erdogan, is a good reference to one of those warlords at that time in China. They do not have this kind of a long-term strategic ambition and are hyper-focused in short-term gains. So basically, one warlord wants the other two warlords to fight among each other and take advantage and steal a few lands and cities here and there when they are busy, right? So most of those warlords are like that, very short-sighted, selfish, fighting among themselves. And Chiang Kai-shek can be referred to here as the United States. He's the most powerful warlord, you can say it that way, the official leader of the country, but he was also very good at tricking those warlords to fight among themselves, which is a good thing for the central government, Chiang Kai-shek, at that time, because weakening the warlords will make them more obedient to the central government, right? If you think about it. But of course, that's a problem when you are fighting Japanese invaders at the time, because your warlords are not united and always want to preserve one's own power. And then, of course, when Chairman Mao appears, Chiang Kai-shek cannot deal with him because Chairman Mao is not one of those short-sighted warlords. He has a grand vision and strategy, which he goes after, and not be tempted by small potato gains. That's why US divide and conquer strategy does not work with China and Russia today, because Putin and Xi Jinping is not Erdogan, okay? Putin and Xi want to change the world order, not just to go after some small gains here and there. And given the size of Russia and China combined in terms of population, economy, resources, industrial capability, it is a very formidable opponent for the US to take on. So that left us with the Middle East, Iran. There's really nothing much I can add regarding Iran. Brother Seven said it all. Other regions around the world, you can win over countries with diplomacy and economic trade engagement, investment, all those things. Middle East is different. It requires a military conclusion in a way. Brother Seven put it out plain and simple. This is the moment the chessboard opens up. Russia, China, Iran will have to respond. Let's see what happens.